Dr. Castleberry here, professor of communication and one of our architects behind the Veterans in Media course. Well, with the Veterans in Media course, one of the parallel texts that's going to be a companion piece throughout this course is the inclusion of a lecture podcast that we developed in our communication major, but want to extend out into this arena of our Veterans in Media course. We're devoting a special season of the lecture cast special topics in media to Veterans in Media. And our intent over time is that we can grow this with enough interest, with enough audienceship, and perhaps we can locate some exciting funding resources as well. But we seek long-term to develop out our own Veterans in Media podcast, where we examine one artifact at a time, the study of veterans, the veteran experience, U.S. military engagement as produced through mass media like film or television, or even pulp novels, nonfiction books, and the like. All right, and so it's a resource. It's an educational resource, but it's the kind of thing that, guess what, you're going to be able to access for free in this course, and then afterward be able to click and subscribe, follow along, and stay plugged into the conversations we're having long after you've hopefully completed this course with exceptional marks. All right, and so we will be creating a tandem text that functions like a dialogue, a critical dialogue, in the form of a lecture cast where we're examining artifacts that we will tackle in the course. All right, and so that is a bird's eye view understanding of what we're attempting to accomplish. We've been shifting gears and moving more toward media production in our communication program at MacU, and for reasons like this, we see it as valuable teaching tools. We want to test the perimeters of what education looks like. We want to respect our students and their time. So let's talk about advantages. Well, what's an advantage of a lecture podcast in the context of a course like this? First of all, this course could be presented in many forms. It could be an on-ground, in-person class, and on one hand, perhaps in a traditional setting, it could last an entire semester. However, we envision that the majority of these courses will operate at an accelerated pace, often what we call asynchronous, meaning students are coming at it based on time availabilities that they have, not versus ones that we dictate. Well, when we think about a class experience like that, then how do we find middle ground? You know, how do we accomplish some of those traditional goals, but outside of the confines of that traditional classroom space? We need a place to do so. And so our brain trust behind this philosophy, we've been experimenting with lecture-based podcasts as a way to deliver content to students. Content that's focused, that's attentive to what the students are encountering, going through in the course, but kind of attempting to elevate those discussions nonetheless. And there's a key word, discussion. I called it a lecture cast, but our primary focus most of the time is to produce content in discussion forms, what we call dialogic criticism. Dialogic implies too, so often I'll be joined, and I can go ahead and use first person here, special topics in media and what we envision in the future as Veterans in Media. This podcast focus is a creation of my own. We're excited to share that and use it as a vehicle for student learning, and we hope that you'll tune in and listen and get a lot out. And you know what? If you have questions, if we're not tackling something from enough angles or what have you, if you have more input, we're inviting your engagement. You can follow us through multiple avenues. We have a private group on Facebook. You just search special topics in media. We have a public page on Facebook where we do a lot of announcement reels, post links to all of our episodes. You can also follow us on Twitter, and we hope there will be other avenues for you to link in and log on with us more often. Now, these are just ways to connect. And really, what are we trying to do? Well, we love the fostering of community. What is higher education if not a collective of learners and learnees, but we're all learners at our core, and we believe in that. It's a foundation of not just what we do, right? We're not just collecting checks, but who we are. And that's exciting. We want to share that passion with you, and this is a way to do it. But let me get back to the resource of, well, what are the benefits of a LectureCast, and why install that in something like this course right here? Well, if we think about how we can engage podcast listening as an audience, we start to understand its value for us in something like an accelerated course where time is limited. But let's also think about the accelerated pace of everyday life. We're doing more than ever. We're involved in more things than ever, especially if you live in, very close to cities, or you travel around a lot. So many of our veterans, active veterans, have either practiced or come from a life of moving around, of shifting. We get this increased sense of globalization, to use that term. And so what are we doing to pass the time? Especially think to yourself, well, what happens when all of a sudden we go to a physical bank, or we visit a theme park, or we're at the airport, and suddenly we have to stand still for a period? Ouch, that doesn't feel very good. Well, what do we like to do? We like to find ways to maybe check out of those moments. Or let's just say, hey, sitting on a long bus ride or plane ride, how do we pass the time? Especially for us to do something like, I don't know, put our cellular devices in airplane mode, or something like that. We're looking at different media we like to consume. Maybe it's a book. Maybe we're screening something on longer flights, but that's not a guarantee. Increasingly, though, we still see people using cellular devices. They're watching things, they're streaming content from smartphones, and wouldn't you know it, they're listening to podcasts. Podcasts have supplanted radio, terrestrial radio, and even certainly satellite radio, which is still a premium product, as a dominant means of auditory consumption of media. So we recognize now the power of the platform, and odds are you're already listening to something. Now, a lot of people, you listen to books on audio. That's great. That's a great way to cut down a road trip. You can listen to pods of varying sorts, fiction, nonfiction, just like we'll, be about virtually any topic. Well, here we have a topic, a special one, in fact. We're going to be talking about veterans in media. And so its ability to take in the content that we're looking to tackle, educationally speaking, we're going to try to put it in a very friendly and warm context, right? A dialogue, a critical dialogue at that. And so we're going to have these LectureCast episodes available to you. If you subscribe, you're always going to get access to whatever content we're tackling, but we are working on making content specifically to coincide with this course, and we're so excited about having these discussions. I'll be joined by some primary hosts, but also some guests, and look forward to cultivating some interviews over time. And those are a few words on what we can do with that. One more thought on the value of podcasting as an educational supplement to our course experience. And that is the fact that I mentioned something like waiting in line, right, at the bank, or sitting on an airplane, a bus, what have you, like these spaces where time has to slow down, and we're looking to fill the void of what's usually a quicker pace of life. But even if it is a quicker pace of life, think about if you're commuting around, if you're going for a run, if you're doing household chores, right? I've got to iron my clothes in the morning, or I'm unloading the dishwasher, and I've got my ear pods in, or I've done some kind of connection and my speakers are playing out. This is an opportunity to learn while you're doing, to multitask. We're providing a multitask tool, and that's the final point I want to stress, is that this is a thing you can pick up and put down. You can re-listen. Hey, is the conversation going slow? Are we not getting where we need to get fast enough? It reminds me of these vlogs, the video syllabi we're putting together here. Are we not getting to the point fast enough? Well, you know what you can do? You can go into an audio cast. You can turn up the speed. You can speed things right up. You can get through the narrative quicker. If you're on YouTube, you already understand this as well. You can tinker with and speed up videos. You could be doing that right now. What have you been doing the last 10 minutes? You could have been cutting this video down to 5. We want to provide that service. We want to help close the gap. We're looking to solve not just educational problems, we're looking to solve student learning problems. We want to help you find that entrance point, that way into content that you can enjoy, appreciate, learn through, get excited about, have something to anticipate, but also something to participate in. I'm going to talk about that in a separate video regarding our podcasting roundtable finale.